Hi, my name is Brad Harvey and I am a middle school STEAM teacher. So over the last several years, I have been teaching a project-based learning class. Some of us get really frustrated when it comes to project-based learning. So what I want to talk about is I've created a system I'm calling Classroom Cash, and it is a project-based learning system that I hope will help eliminate some of the frustrations you have and take away some of the reservations about doing project-based learning. So let's get started. All right, so let's start with some of the reasons we get frustrated in project-based learning. Middle school students and adults in general, or humans in general, don't love working in teams. If I had $1 for every time a student was like, can I just do this by myself? I don't work with people well. I could have retired already. I could have been living on a beach in the Bahamas, sipping my favorite beverage with a tan year round. But I didn't, and I don't. So we're frustrated by that. I think the second thing we're frustrated by is that there's just supplies and there's stuff everywhere, and it feels like we've spent all these money and resources and time collecting stuff, and then a class leaves and it's all over the floor, or a bunch of stuff's got thrown in the trash, or no one knows whose is what, and there's just some frustration. And the third piece that I think can be the most frustrating is that you feel like even if you do teams of 2 or 3, there's always that one person or one student who doesn't get involved, doesn't share a role or whatever. And so you feel like you can get 1 or 2 invested, but a third is out. Or you can get 1 invested and 2 are left out or whatever. Okay, let's break this down. The first step to Classroom Cash is that I assign roles to every student and a team. Now, first off, I don't do teams of any more than 3 people. I feel like there's a disaster in that. So the 3 roles are really simple. I have a team manager, I have a team accountant, and I have a team supply coordinator. All 3 roles have value, they have very defined roles, and it gives each student purpose inside of that piece. So that's the step. And what I'll do is right when we start a project, I'll hand out the first step and I'll hand out their accounting and budget sheet. You can see that on the screen. And what they're going to do is that they're going to determine as a team, not me, I don't determine that. They determine what role they're going to play. Okay, step 2 on the how I'm doing this is that I will allow teams to earn money. It's fake money. Obviously, I'm on an educator's salary. So they earn fake money when they complete each step of our process. The process I created a few years ago is called Climb, and I do have another video in my channel that you can check out that goes through what each one means and all the things, and I recommend doing that. So, for example, I will pass out the connect to the project piece. That's the first step of Climb, and students will be working on that. So an example of what that might look like for a team or a project is that for Cell City, students had an image on a sheet and they had to color the, 7 parts of a cell that we were focused on. And then they had to compare and contrast the plant animal cell. It took about a class. It was pretty simple. They could find a lot of the resources online to color it and to work together and blah, blah, blah. So now, when a team is finished with Connect to the Project, a manager will bring me their documents, all their tables documents. So I don't speak to the accountant or the supply coordinator at that time. The manager brings me all 3. All 3 sheets have their name. The manager is guaranteed that all 3 sheets are correct. And I will grade them live in my class, okay? And then once it's right, I'll mark, I'll get them to fix, whatever. When their table is finished on time, I give them $5, okay? Now, the second step is learn the who, what, and how. That's our research piece, and they will earn $10. The next step is investigate the topic. That is our 1,000-foot view being shrunk down to a really focused point. They'll earn $15. The next step is manufacture ideas. That's where they design blueprints and make the stuff to prepare for their build. That is worth $20. So in theory, a team, if each step is done on time, can earn a total of $50. And that's great. That's huge. Okay? Now, here's the caveat. Here's the asterisk. Here's the thing that sets us apart from other systems. Is each day that a team is late, they lose money. Now, I hear what all you're going to say. Well, they're grading this stuff. It doesn't impact their grade. If it's done properly, they get the grade, it doesn't matter. Okay? But if they're a day late, they lose money. For some steps, it's $1. For some steps, it's $2. So the goal is that you earn a total of 50. But I've had groups only earn 35 or 40 because they were staying on time and focused and working to complete the task together. So here's the third part of this how, is that students have the buy-in because they're earning the money and they get that. So the accountant will then manage the money. They have an accountant tracking sheet and I reward them throughout the project for having that sheet in order. They're tracking their money. They're learning to process through how much they're getting, how much they're going to need. And then here's where it gets fun, is once they have finished manufacturer ideas and they're ready to build, they will bring me their design, I'll hand them their $20, and then the supply coordinator, along with the manager and the accountant, will go to my endless bins of supply, Connects, Legos, gears, toilet paper rolls, egg cartons, etc., of stuff. And they will pick out what they need based off of their design, and they will pay for a supply bag. It's $20. Now, that's a hefty amount, but it forces them to process through what they're buying and getting, and they're not just wasting a bunch of my stuff. The other piece to this is that because they bought it, now that purchase coordinator's role is to make sure that nothing is left behind, nothing is lost, and nothing is forgotten in the midst of the project. But each piece that they have gotten in their supply bag has value, and it stays off my floor. Also, what this does is it gives that supply coordinator a role to make sure that they are organized and in depth, the accountant's tracking the money, they determine what they need. Now, you're like, hey, Mr. Harvey, they have like $30 left. What are they doing with $30? That's a great question. They're going to do hot glue. That's an important piece to a lot of our builds. Well, I don't just let them have endless hot glue. Hot glue, and I have a whole nother video on that, is 3 minutes. They set their timer, they pay their $1 for 3 minutes. So it forces them to be on time, forces them to be intentional, and it tells them that it's costful, that it's just not a free thing they can come and waste. They're not going to waste hot glue if they know they have 3 minutes and it's going to cost them. So that's another win for me. So then they also want to paint potentially. That costs $1. If they need to refill a supply bag because they've gotten to it and they realize, man, we got 5 of these and we needed 10, or we got to grab these things to add on, or we're making changes, whatever it is, they can refill that supply bag. It's $10. It's also a hefty amount. Now, here's my favorite part of all of this, is I hated giving away pencils. And I know all the argument of like, you never know a kid's situation, blah, blah, blah. But I felt like most of the time I gave away a pencil, it ended up on the floor, or the kid would snap it or whatever, and so it didn't feel worth it. So now I don't give away pencils. Pencils cost your team $1. You come to me, Mr. Harvey, I need a pencil. Great, your team owes me $1. That pencil's yours. You own it. I don't take it back. You do what you want with it for the rest of your time with that pencil. What that created for me is teams and managers and accountants would go, oh, I have an extra pencil. You don't buy one. I haven't given away pencils in years out of my own pocket. It's a game changer. All right, so let's recap. I have team roles. Each person now has value in not being left out because they don't feel like they have purpose. Each team earns and gets money, which creates value and interest not only in the team, but also for the project. Number 3, they are learning to gather supplies, manage those supplies and resources, which is a great life skill as a student and as an adult. And the last thing that I think is valuable with this is that because of all of these things, my space stays just a little cleaner because they now have an invested interest in all of their stuff. This doesn't fix every behavior issue. This doesn't solve all the problems, but it is a great tool to help with. I don't think you need a 5-step process potentially for every class, every project. I also don't think that the way I do it may fit every class, and I hear that. But what I would challenge you with is how can you make an adaptation to this and differentiate so that you can make something like this fit for what you're doing? Instead of shying away from the project-based learning, how can you take this idea, this nucleus of a core thought, and you take it to expand to fit your space? Maybe you're charging for colored pencils and poster paper while I charge for larger supplies. Maybe you give them for finishing an ed puzzle as a team instead of a worksheet. Whatever it might be, find a way to adapt this to fit you and just try it out. I'm telling you, this has been a game changer for me, and I'm telling you to be a game changer for you. I'd love to hear your thoughts. My email is right here. Send me your thoughts, send me your stuff. Tag me in your videos on all your socials. You can see I'm way invested in social media. I'd love to hear what you have to say or how it's working or not working for you. And if you want a voice or an ear to bounce this off of, I'm available to help you. Let's do a video chat. Let's do something that's connected so that you're successful, because that's what I'm here for. All right, I'm Brett Harvey, and this has been Classroom Cash.